inspirational our inspirational speaker for this evening is Dr. AlyceAnn Williams.
Thank you, Madam Division Director. Look around this room. You're not just here for round 2 of training. You are here because you represent the very best of leadership in your club. You've already completed the first mile. You know the manual, you know the role, and you understand the commitment. Now, we're entering into the crucial stage, the win. Take a deep breath. That first term of training gave you the manual. And now, this second phase gives you the compass and the fuel to climb the mountain. We often talk about distinguished club programs, membership numbers, and meeting quality. These are the matrix, but they are not the mission. The mission is simple: transformation. Your role is not merely administrative. You are not just a list of bullet points in the manual. You are the architect of that change. Every time a new member hesitantly steps into a meeting, they're looking at you. They're looking for the environment that you have created, an environment of safety, challenge, and relentless support. When a member finally delivered their confident speech that earned a standing ovation, they don't just thank the audience, they're thanking the vice president of education who might have mentored them, the secretary who organized the schedule, the treasurer who kept the club out, the president who held the vision. You are the infrastructure that support every single moment of triumph. Round 1 taught you what to do. Round 2 is about how to do it exceptionally. The vice president of education don't just fill the agenda, it seeks out the quiet members and push them gently toward the next level of growth. The vice president of membership don't just count the numbers, they greet every prospect with genuine enthusiasm, showing them the future version of themselves. The vice president of public relations don't just post an event, they tell the story of your members' successes, turning testimonials into invitations. The sergeant at arms, the treasurer, and the secretary, you are the bedrock. You ensure that the engine runs smoothly, making the impossible look effortless, freeing up energy for the rest of the leadership team. And President, you don't just lead the meeting. You hold the entire team accountable to the highest standard of excellency and unity. This is the phase where you move from just doing your job to owning your legacy. What is the one thing your club will be known for when you leave your term? The answer lies in the deliberate, excellent execution you commit to starting today. Your second win. And let's be honest, leadership can be tiring. There are late nights, unexpected challenges, and moments when the numbers don't look right. But I want you to remember this. Every single successful club that achieves distinguished status, every member who achieves their goal does so because of a team of dedicated officers just like you who found their second win. That second win isn't a burst of raw energy. It is the deep, steady commitment that comes when you fully internalize your why. Your why is the human being standing taller, speaking clearer, leading bolder because you made the effort. Go forth from this training, not as just trained officer, but a passionate pioneer. Be the leader who don't wait for things to happen, but who makes things happen. Let's not just have a good term. Let's build a legacy that transforms every member that we serve. Thank you. Now, let's get to work. Back to you, Madam Division.
Thank you very much, Dr. AlyceAnn Williams. Okay, I'm going to start off a little bit. I'm going to start over. First of all, I did not introduce myself, and I apologize. My cat is down here scratching she threw me off, scratching my feet. So I just, moved her over a little bit. So I'm good now. So again, my name is Dr. Sonia Falk. I am Division Director for Area C, Division C. And my division, we're actually sponsoring this training here tonight. So we have our guru, who is Saundra Washington. But first of all, I'm going to go ahead and let you know before she comes up, I am going to let you know who your trainers are for the evening. So for our training for treasurer is Miss Alberta Martin. Our vice president of membership is Mamie Burks, but you'll also see Prince Lethbridge in that class as well. Then myself, I'll be doing a BPPR training. The Sergeant at Arms trainer is Marin Jenkins. The president trainer is Martha Brock Lethbridge.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Really?
You had gone through everything except I was waiting to hear VPE.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. Okay, so the VPE is oh, that's Dr. AlyceAnn. Did I leave up that far? Oh wow, I don't know what happened. So Dr. AlyceAnn is going to be doing our VPE. Our treasurer is Miss Alberta Martin. She's going to be our treasurer training. VPM is going to be Mamie Burks, and you'll also see Prince Lethbridge there, help assist him with that. Myself, I'll be doing the VPPR training. Our president trainer will be Martha Brock Lethbridge. Secretary trainer is going to be Mary Wong. Juan Tran is our Zoom master. Again, Saundra Washington is our Pathways guru, and she will be conducting the training tonight. After the training for each session, your trainers have been emailed or given the link, the feedback link. Once you finish that link, you can go ahead and, well, depending on what they say in my class, you can go ahead and drop because we'll pretty much be finished for the evening. But you have to complete that link. You have to do it in order to get credit for the class. You will have to complete and submit that attendance link. Okay. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our educational speaker / Pathways guru, distinguished Toastmaster Saundra Washington.
Thank you very much, Madam Division C Director. I am excited to be here. I'm going to ask your indulgence before I get started. I am a little under the weather. I'm probably going to have to shut down the audio and do a little cough here and there, so just bear with me, but we'll get through this. All right, so my topic tonight is understanding how to navigate these new changes in pathways. That's what we're talking about tonight. The new information, what Toastmasters is calling enhancements. So we will be looking at those enhancements, what they are, how to find them. In fact, let me go over what we will cover today. So we're going to go through the requirements. We'll just review them. We will talk specifically about how to do the educational presentations because some of you have not seen this before. Some of us who've been in Toastmasters a long time remember these educational presentations where they're back. But I'll go over that for people who've never seen them and don't know what they are because they are now part of your Pathways requirements. And then I will go over what this looks like for members, where they see this in Basecamp, how they know what the requirements are, what they have to do in terms of checking them off and marking them complete. So I will try to take about 45 minutes to do this and still leave us time for questions as well. And of course, we don't want to be here all night. So I will kind of make sure that we move along and cover all of these items. So let's start with taking a look at the new requirements. All right, there are three kinds of requirements that members now have to complete as they work their way through Pathways. Members have to do speech projects. That's what we've always had to do. So by speech projects, I mean icebreaker is an example of one, writing a speech with purpose is an example of one, introduction to vocal variety. We're probably all familiar with those. Those are level 1 speech projects. And so members still have to do their speech projects. That part has not changed. In fact, nothing about that has changed. Those requirements stay the same. But some things have been added. That's why I think Toastmasters is calling it enhancements. Now, in addition to the speech projects, members must also carry out certain roles during the meeting, certain meeting roles. Examples would be they might have to be the timer or the counter or the general evaluator. At every level, there are requirements, specific meeting role requirements. And I'll go over the specifics in just a minute. So there are speech projects, everyone has to do those. There are meeting role requirements, now everyone has to do those. And finally, there are educational presentations. Some examples of these are how to be a distinguished club, using body language, resolving conflict. So I will talk about those, where you find them, how you do them. So 3 kinds of requirements. Let's look first at the speech requirements. You know what I want to do? I want to give you the handout that Toastmasters created about this. So let me stop for a minute and put that in the chat because I didn't pull this out of the air. Everything I'm about to show you comes from the handout that Toastmasters created. So let me stop sharing for just a minute and pull that document into the chat for you. It is a PDF document called Club Officers Guide to the 2025 Pathways Enhancements. If you're not able to get it here, you can go over to Toastmasters.org and search for it in the search area and find it that way as well. So I'm going to put that in the chat so that you can download and you can see where I have gotten this information. Hold on one second. And all right, it's coming. All right, the Club Officer's Guide to 2025 Pathways Enhancements. I've put it in the chat. You can grab that, download it, and you can kind of see where all of this is coming from that I'm showing you, because this is the document, the source document I've used for the creation of my slides. All right, so let's go back to the level. We said there are 3 kinds of requirements. The first are the speech projects. That has not changed. But I want to show you something about the speech projects that you may never have paid attention to before. Level 1, Toastmasters considers the concept in level 1 is mastering the fundamentals. These speeches that they've given you and the assignments behind them are all about mastering the fundamentals. Level 2, the concept is learning your style. That's what Toastmasters says these projects that you're required to do will help you do. Learn your communication style, learn your leadership style, learn your humor style. You may be familiar with some of the requirements and projects that are in level 2. So level 2 is about learning your style. Level 3 is about increasing knowledge. This is where you're past the basics, you're one of the more senior members of the club. You've probably been in your Toastmasters club by the time you get to level 3, at least a year. in some cases more. You're at a point now where you're increasing your knowledge, and the projects let you do that. Build on the knowledge that you have, increase your knowledge. Level 4, Toastmasters believes the work in level 4 is about building your skills, and it gives you assignments and projects that help you build your skills. And finally, level 5 gives you the opportunity to demonstrate expertise. That's what the level 5 projects are about, demonstrating expertise. That's always been there. These have always been the themes of each level. But now Toastmasters has kind of elevated that a little bit, and I'll show you what I mean in just a couple of minutes. But it's important to understand that the speech projects have not changed. By the way, why do I call them speech projects rather than just speeches? Why do I call them speech projects? And now this distinction is really important because there's more than one kind of speech. Why do I call them speech projects? Anyone, if you think you know, you can raise your hand, or you can, Juan, you want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, hi, Saundra.
Hi.
I think because in certain projects there are multiple speeches.
Okay, that is one reason. Absolutely. Yep. And why else? But I'll agree with that, and I'll take it even further. So give me a little bit more. Why else would we call them projects and not just speeches?
I can continue if no one else
Okay.
wants to talk.
All right.
Well, because there are things within the projects that you learn and do, activities that you learn and do that are not necessarily speeches.
That is kind of what I was getting at as well. So absolutely. Let's go back to these over here. Particularly when you get in the upper levels, it's more than just a speech. There almost always is some activity that you are asked to do that helps you increase your knowledge or build your skill or demonstrate your expertise. You may be asked to go to a networking event and practice your networking skills. You may be expected to be a leader in your volunteer organization for 6 months. So you have some things you have to do in addition to giving the speech. So it's more than a speech, it's always been a project. In the lower levels, it's mostly speeches, but as you work your way up, there's more to it than just a speech. So I want you to be clear. I'm calling these speech projects, these little things that have some learning content and a speech you give, and sometimes some other activity as well. And so, as I said, these have not changed. Those are the same. Let's go on to the second kind of requirement. There now are meeting role requirements. But before I get to the meeting role requirements, I want to show you again that Toastmasters considers the meeting roles in level 1 the fundamentals. So the meeting roles that you're going to be assigned will be helping you master the fundamentals. In level 2, you'll be learning your style. In level 3, you'll be increasing knowledge. In level 4, you'll be building skills. And in level 5, you'll be demonstrating your expertise. So I want you to just pay attention because those little themes come up again. When we get over in base camp, you'll see where they appear. All right, let's take a look at the level 1 requirements. In level 1, the member has to be a table topic speaker, and they have to be either the timer or the counter. Now, I put little asterisks here for table topic speaker because the document I gave you says they're supposed to be a table topic speaker before they do their icebreaker. So before, if you're the vice president of education, you're supposed to make sure they do that icebreaker before you schedule them. It's supposed to be a table topic speaker before you schedule them to do their icebreaker. And then the second one, they have a choice, either timer or counter. In level 2, the requirements are be the grammarian, be the table topics master, be a speech evaluator, and then for the fourth one, they have a choice, either timer, Toastmaster, or counter. And keep in mind, again, if you are the vice president of education or the base camp manager, it's going to be your job to verify that the member has done these things before approving their level. So before you approve level 2, these are the meeting roles that you will need to be able to verify that the member has met. When you get to level 3, the requirements are be the Toastmaster, be an evaluator, and then you have a choice of table topics master, table topics speaker, or something called introductory mentor. And I highlighted that because it wasn't clear what that was. The handout that I've given you explains that when you're the introductory mentor, you're assigned as the mentor to a new member, and you help that new member in the first few months that they are in Toastmasters. Help them learn to navigate Basecamp, learn how to find their speeches, maybe give them some encouragement and help to get that icebreaker done, but kind of walk side by side with a new member. So an introductory mentor is acceptable as your meeting role. All right, in level 4, you've got to be the Toastmaster, the general evaluator, be a speech evaluator, and then you've got a choice. Table topics speaker, table topics master, or something they've called specialized role. And I highlighted that one too. Toastmasters says that can be some role that's unique to your club, some special assignment that the Vice President of Education gives somebody in a meeting. So that will be a role that maybe is unique to your club. That's fine. And then level 5, here you've got to do quite a number. This is where you're demonstrating your expertise. You've got to be the general evaluator twice. You've got to be the Toastmaster twice. You have to be a speech evaluator twice. And then you pick from the list one of the things that's on that list. In other words, something that you've done before from the list above. Again, specialized role is one of them. I have highlighted in blue something called Club Mentor. I contacted Toastmasters about that because I had a question. Club Mentor has traditionally been an assignment that someone gets. It's usually assigned by the club growth director, where you are assigned to a newly chartered club and you stay with them for the first 6 months and you make sure they're learning how to do what they need to do in Toastmasters. I reached out to Toastmasters just to ask, what exactly, is that what you mean by club mentor over here? That if they do that outside the club, then they have this credit? And I want you to see the email that I got back from Toastmasters. So November 17th, the club and member support team at Toastmasters emailed me back and said, you know what, that's a typo. The mention of club mentor should say introductory member. The same thing that's over in level 3. And they've indicated that that's a correction they will be working. So let's just go back to that so you're clear. On this one where it says club mentor, what Toastmasters, what the team at TI Mentor put in there is introductory mentor. So it occurs in level 3 and it occurs in level 5. And I assume at some point this PDF will get corrected. As of last week when I was putting this presentation together, I went and checked. The PDF had not been updated yet. So I'll just keep watching and I'll let you know when the PDF has been updated. Gary, you have a question. I'll take this down for a minute.
Yes.
I'll leave it up. You may have.
Yes, it is in regard to this chart. Thank you, Saundra. A quick question is that typically members, or at least in my experience, as they are involved with a club over a period of time, sign up for meeting roles at various meetings and in different capacities. Is it the case here that you only can get credit for a particular level if you carry out and fulfill these roles while you're in that level? Or is it, and you know too that when they opened up the access to the speech projects at different levels, regardless of whatever level you're in, maybe you're in level 2, but you want to do a level 4 for some reason that complements an objective that you have, a learning objective or something like that. And you also, while you're level 2, you serve as a general evaluator. Would that then help fulfill that requirement for level 4 when you get to level 4?
I'm going to say no, but thank you for asking that question because I didn't say this. What Toastmasters is saying is you must complete these requirements while you're working in this level. So, for example, if you have not earned level 1 and you serve as the grammarian, it will not count for this requirement. Until you earn level 1, none of these other things that you do count for the requirement. So I think the intent is that at each level you have some things you have to do. You can't do them all in the first few months you're in Toastmasters and bank them all. No, you have to do some at each level. So you must do These, while you're before you're awarded level 1, you have to do, let's go back to here. Let's see if it'll work. Before you're awarded level 1, there you go. You have to do these before you're awarded level 1. Then you can start working on these, and they have to be completed, and you get credit for them before you do level 2. Anything you do beyond that, let's say you're advanced enough, you get assigned to be an introductory mentor. If you haven't earned level 2, that does not count. And so your question about sometimes people jump around, particularly those of us who are advanced, we don't do it, all in order anymore. I would say you have to earn where the level that you have not earned. That's the one you're working on, and those are the assignments that count. So even if you go up and do a level 4, you're not really on level 4 then if you have not earned level 2. That's really where Toastmasters would say you are. You're in
All right.
level 2.
That just makes sense. Then
Yeah.
I wanted to clarify, and like you said, you can't just bank them and
Right.
and use
Right.
them
And
in
do
the
them all in the
future.
first few months. No, you've got to be doing that. And I think the point is we do want advanced Toastmasters to be doing certain roles as well. I don't know if they had a problem. They felt that certain people were getting advanced and weren't doing roles or whatever. So yes, they want people at all levels of the club lifespan, if you like, to be doing meeting roles. So
Right,
thank
right.
you for
Well,
the
I
question.
like this approach because it encourages continuing refinement of your skills
Yes,
as a presenter within the context of meeting roles, but also it helps to fill the agenda roles that we're always trying to get
absolutely.
taken care of.
Absolutely. All right, someone else had a question. Did they take their
Thank you.
hand down? Maybe I answered it? All right, I will go on to the next set of requirements because we said requirement 3, we said originally there were 3 kinds. We said there were speech projects, there are meeting role requirements, and the third kind of requirement are educational presentation requirements. Now, first of all, before I start, again, I want you to see that we're still have level 1, the theme is mastering the fundamentals. Level 2 is learning your style. Level 3 is increasing knowledge. Level 4 is building your skills. Level 5 is about demonstrating expertise. Now, these new requirements, the educational presentation requirements, are not required of level 1 and level 2 members. And that's because these are considered kind of advanced activities. So there are no educational presentation requirements of members in level 1. There are none for members in level 2. It's only when you get to level 3 that you have to do one of these. In level 3, you have to do a presentation from the Successful Club series. In level 4, you have to do 2 of these presentations, one from the Successful Club series and one from the Better Speaker series. And when you get to level 5, you have to do 2 of them, one from the Successful Club series and one from the Leadership Excellence series. These presentations are designed to help educate your club members, particularly those folks in level 1 and level 2, the newer members of Toastmasters who may need some guidance, some knowledge, some understanding of the big picture of Toastmasters. These little presentations will help them have that information, will give them that information. So let's talk a little bit about how to do the educational presentations. Keep in mind, again, there are 2 kinds of speeches. There are your regular projects, what you've always had, your speech projects. And now there will also be educational presentations. So let's talk about what those are and how they're different from the regular speech projects. Your educational presentations are really training modules. You will get the content from Toastmasters.org. You can go and search for it. You log into Toastmasters.org and use the search box to search for the topics you're interested in doing or the topics that you're required to do. You can download the content. It'll come to you as a PDF. You'll also get a PowerPoint presentation. Back before Pathways, we had these, and they used to come to us as books. We used to have to order them, and they would mail the books to us. So they came as a booklet. It's a little manual, a pamphlet. Now it's free. and you just download the PDF, but it has the same content. You'll get an outline of what it is you are to train your club members or what you're to present to your club members. Typically, they'll take 10 to 15 minutes to present. They're designed to take 10 to 15 minutes to present. So keep in mind they are going to take up the amount of time that 2 speeches typically take up. So again, do make sure the Vice President of Education is aware you're doing one of these because they're going to take a little bit of extra time in your club meeting. And of course, the idea is to present it in your own words. Even though Toastmasters gives you the content, you're not to read this word for word or anything like that. You can still use your skill as a speaker and a presenter to make it interesting, to present the present the content that's in these PDFs, that's in the PowerPoint presentation, but present it in a way that's engaging. It can be interactive. It can involve the audience. You can do that in any way you want, but you want to make it interesting so that your club members are learning something. And so again, what it looks like, as I said, when you find it over in Toastmasters.org and you hit that download button, you're going to get a slideshow, and you're also going to get a handout that has an outline, bullet points of what you are to cover. So here's an example of one. One of them is called Creating the Best Club Climate. It's in the Successful Club series. And when I say you make it your own and you tell it in your own words, if I were doing this one, I think I've told this story before in some of my other training, but if I were doing this one, I would probably start by talking about the first Toastmasters club I visited. I joined Toastmasters in 2011, and the first club I visited in October of 2011, it was a terrible experience. And the thing that I remember most is I was the last one left in the room. When that meeting was over, they all ran out the door like they all had somewhere else to go. I was the last one left in the room. I turned out the lights. No one talked to me about how to join. Nobody talked to me about anything. It was like, it's time to go. It was a really weird feeling. And I didn't think that was the place for me. And I went looking for another club. So I might start with a story like that and then talk about how the club climate and the experience that visitors have all have a huge impact on whether somebody joins the club. So make it interesting, tell a story, make it interactive in some way, and go from there. Gary, yes.
Yes, thank you again, Saundra. I was wondering about these presentation requirements. I gave one of the presentations last month for our club's open house. It was a virtual open house. It ran just over 15 minutes, I believe. Juan was my timer. I know he remembers this. But the question I have in mind, keeping the maxim of our respected club quality program director, no free speeches. So I did get an evaluation. I asked one of our more advanced members to give me an evaluation. Can that count also for credit towards an elective in the advanced levels?
I'm going to say no. You can't count the same thing for 2 requirements.
No
All
double
right.
dipping?
No double dipping. So
Okay.
now I suppose you could give one as one of your electives, but now it's not then counting for this assignment. So it's not a free, so yes, Dr. AlyceAnn does teach us no free speeches. It's not really a free speech. You're getting credit for it. I mean, so it's
Yeah.
not like you do it you've gotten credit towards your level when you did it, but you can't count it for 2 things any more than, and do keep in mind, this is a Toastmasters rule. Members cannot get credit for 2 or 3 roles in a club meeting. I hope nobody's doing that either, that you come to the club meeting and, well, we need a timer and we need an eye counter and we need a table topics master. I'll be all 3 and I click off all those assignments. No, you get credit for 1 thing at any given meeting. You cannot get credit
Okay.
for all of them or more than one of them at any given meeting. So
All right.
yes, this counts for 1 thing only.
Thank you for the
Okay,
distinction.
good. Jennifer, question. Jennifer Greenwald, do you have your hand up?
Sorry, I was on mute still. 2 questions. all of these changes applies to all pathways, even legacy pathways, right?
Ooh, now that's a good question. The answer is they do not appear in those legacy paths.
I didn't
So
think so.
that's correct. So if you have members who are still working in those legacy paths, or if you yourself are still working in those legacy paths, what I'm going to show you in a few minutes about how to find it and where it exists, it does not appear in the legacy paths. I would say your members in the legacy path should be asked to do them and expected to do them as well, though. It would be very unfair to have some members have some assignments and some members don't have those. And so the VPE can still keep track, and the member still has, you can use the handout I've given you to know what it is you need to do. I would say the VPE should really require it of everyone. But yes, as you know, those legacy paths, they're probably going to go away. They haven't updated them, they haven't changed them, and they didn't make this update. And I believe the handout I gave you says something like that. It doesn't appear in those legacy paths, but legacy members should feel free to do these requirements, I think is the wording. It's something like that. And I'm going to say in the VPE should absolutely feel free to keep track of the members in those legacy paths and ask them to meet those requirements as well, so that
And
everybody's being fair in the club. We're being fair to everybody, and everybody in the club has the same requirements.
so I am in a legacy path, and so I would presume that for mine, in order to get the educational presentations, I should go to sort of a different pathway in order to download them and move forward, I presume, because I don't think they're going to show up on
No,
mine.
the educational presentations are not in your path. The educational
Got it.
presentations are on Toastmasters.org for everybody. So
Got
you
it.
will go to Toastmasters.org just like the people with the updated paths. Go to Toastmasters.org and search for the one you're looking for. Or if you don't know which one, so for example, in level 3, you have a choice. You don't know one from the other. Well, what are they about? You can search for successful club series and get them all in one big zip file and look at them all and decide which one you want to give.
Okay. And then my second question is, so I'm in level 4, and I presume that I don't have to go back to level 3's roles or educational presentations, right? I would presume I'm grandfathered in and just start from level 4 onward.
That is correct. If
Okay.
you have earned any levels you have earned, you are not required to go back and meet those requirements. So if you had earned those levels before this requirement came in, then those requirements don't pertain to you. So it's only going
Okay.
forward.
Got it. Thank you
Yep.
so much.
Yep. And again, that handout says that as well. So yeah, nobody has to go back and redo anything or redo any paths. If you got the credit, redo any levels. If you got the credit for the level already, you're not required to go back and do anything. I'll take Brian and then Martha. Brian?
Okay, so I don't know when this rule put into place because I started another path pretty much around June of this year and want to double check when this applied because about the legacy paths.
It applies starting now. It came into an existence in October, but
Okay.
any level you have not completed, it applies to.
Any level that's not completed.
Completed,
Okay.
that's right. If you have completed the level, you're not expected to go back and open up that level and do anything in it. But any level you have not earned, then you have to meet these requirements.
Okay, gotcha. All right,
Okay?
thank you.
Okay, good. Martha?
Make sure that you can hear me. I don't have a
Ooh,
headset.
you're real faint.
Okay.
I may have to
Well,
ask you to repeat. Go ahead.
well, this is what I wanted to say and what I've observed because I've been working with my 3 clubs on this since probably since September. And one of the things that I'm finding is, like you said, with the legacy piece, there are a few people in the legacy piece. So I'm glad you covered that because inside the legacy piece, it's very difficult already to work the paths. And now you've added another component, makes it even more difficult. So it's always incumbent upon the person who's in legacy, finish it right away as soon as you can so that you can move into the real things that we're doing and be in the same time that we're in. basically. Now, what I was looking at, and this is something that helped all of my members, when I'm in the place called Free Toast Host, what Free Toast Host allows me is to go into all of the different pieces that are added on to us to do different presentation that you were talking about. Now, here's the hiccup for a lot of people. When they see all of those, they go, oh my God, it's 10 different modules in Successful Club, then the speakers, and then the leadership. And I said, well, what am I going to do? So here's the best rule of thumb. When you see them and you are loading them in, Toastmasters is going to give you your selection for each of those inside of what we would call our Free Toast Host. So if it's 10 in the module, it's going to say you need to do moments of truth or to motivate, you know what I'm talking about, to elevate to motivate, and then another one. It'll be only 3 there, but here's where the 25,000 million question will probably come in. When you get to a level 4, it's going to say you need to do 1 more from that series. There'll be other ones that there sometimes it can repeat itself. However, then it's going to be 1 for another series. Those are the ones you need to pay attention to, because when you get to that level 4, you can select from 2 areas, but you're going to need to know you need to do 1 from each. And then it repeats itself when it gets to the next one, which is the, I believe it's the leadership series. So those are the things that people need to really put under their, I call it under their belt with understanding, because even with me being a seasoned Toastmaster, I was wondering which one should I do? But it tells you when you select each one, what they would like for you to do in Toastmasters. And that has really guided me. And that's how I train the people that come in. It's so many people in my clubs that's been doing this since September when they got to their level 3. So we already knew about it, because those are the kind of communication. Good leaders, they put it out there first so people will know what's in the pipeline. I'm all done.
Okay. All right, but thank you. You are correct. It's been Free Toast Host has been updated to include a lot of this. So I'm really grateful for that. So yes, thank you for sharing that. All right, let us get back to any other questions about these requirements and how to complete them. Get back to my slides here. All right. So let's go over again. This is kind of what Martha was saying. The Free Toast Host will kind of show you, but let's just go over which ones you have to do. For the Successful Club series, in level 3, you have to choose from this little group. So you're certain ones you have to do in each level. In level 4, you have to do a Successful Club series presentation, and there's your choice. And in level 5, you have to do a Successful Club series presentation and choose from those 3. So at level 3, at level 4, and at level 5, the member has to do a Successful Club series presentation. And as you see what the topics are, these are, as I said, these are little educational nuggets that will help your newer members be better Toastmasters members. They'll understand better what's going on. So for example, a presentation about the Distinguished Club program. In many clubs, the beginning members don't quite get how that works and how they can and should be helping the club meet its goals. One of the ones I really like is the Keeping the Commitment module. And that one is about the Toastmasters Promise. In my club, we repeat the Toastmasters Promise at every meeting, but many clubs don't. People sign that when they sign their membership application. They signed off on the Toastmasters Promise, but I bet many people don't know what's in it and don't remember that they even did it. This little module goes down the Toastmasters Promise line by line and reminds them what they signed off on and what it means and what they should be doing. That's the Keeping the Commitment one. So I just really like these because they will help your club members, particularly your level 1 and 2 members, just be better Toastmasters members. And of course it will, and if they're better members, it will improve what's going on in your club. The Better Speaker series, that's when you're in level 4. You have to give one of these. You choose from one of these here. And so these will help them be better speakers, as the series is titled. And in level 5, you have to give one of the leadership presentations, and your choices are shown here. But all of these are designed to just strengthen your members, strengthen your clubs, get better performance in your clubs, just hopefully help us all be better Toastmasters. All right, the evaluation forms, I do want to point that out. When you download that PDF, the evaluation form is going to be in the PDF, and that's not going to help your evaluator so very much. So I just want to remind you, you should absolutely get an evaluation when you do one of these, and I want to give you 2 suggestions. You can use the generic form that's in Basecamp, or you can go over to Free Toast Host, as Martha was saying. You can log in and put in the project, and it will give you the evaluation form that's appropriate for that series. So I just want to make sure everybody understands about the generic forms that are in Basecamp. Let me show you what I mean really quickly. Can we go over to Basecamp? We can. All right, when you are in Basecamp and you can, we're going to look at the PDF ones right now. You can search for the generic evaluation. I hope you're aware that every evaluation form is unique to the project, because every evaluation form tells the evaluator what the speaker was supposed to be doing here, what their assignment was, what they were tasked with learning, so that when you evaluate, you're really supposed to be speaking to that and addressing that. So hopefully you're aware of that. There is, though, a generic evaluation form, and you can get it by typing in the word generic up here in the search bar. And if you search for the generic evaluation form, you can get it. And you can take a look at it, and it will be an evaluation form, but it's not particular to any given project. So if you're evaluating someone who's doing one of these, you would find it this way, and you would just click and download it and use it this way. So that's one option. And the other option for evaluating your members, if you use for the Free Toast Host website and you use it for your meeting agendas, then when the member signs up to give one of those presentations. So let's say I'm going to be a speaker at the next meeting, and I put in, I'm going to be doing, what was it, creating the best club climate. Got to be able to spell. Creating the best club climate. That's what I sign up to do. The evaluation form that pops out over here, and you probably can't see it. Let me share it with you. The evaluation form that pops out will be one that is appropriate for the Successful Club series and for the presentation that the member is giving. So you can get an evaluation form for the member that way as well. All right, so those members should get evaluations, and there are just 2 options that I recommend that work really well for making sure you have an appropriate form for evaluating them. Okay, questions about that? Okay, no hands? If not, I want to kind of wind down by talking about where you find these requirements in Basecamp and make sure you've seen them and your members know where to find them. So in Basecamp, you will discover that when you're in your overview that shows all of the assignments in your path, there now is a little listing for those names we had: mastering the fundamentals, learning your style, increasing your knowledge, building skills, demonstrating expertise. There now is a little indication for each of those. I'll show you where they are in a minute. When we're here in this level 1, if we click on this thing, this little listing that says mastering the fundamentals, it will give us a little paragraph where Toastmasters explains what they mean by mastering the fundamentals. What is it that you're supposed to get in level 1? They will also give the members some really valuable resources. There's a script for the timer. There's a script for the eye counter, because those are the 2 roles that the member chooses from. They've never had that right here in Basecamp. Members had to go look hither and yon and all over everywhere for that, and members often found it on their own, but Toastmasters has decided to put it right here in Basecamp. So there's a script and also a log for the timer and a log for the eye counter. So there's a form they can use that they can keep track of the counting that they're doing. There is also information about the meeting roles and how the meeting roles help build their leadership skills and their presentation and speaking skills. So I'll show you where that is in a minute. But all of those resources have been added. In addition, if you scroll down from there, it will show you what the speech projects are that are required. If you scroll down from there, it will show you, it will show you if there are any educational presentations required. It'll show you exactly which ones you have to complete, you have to choose from in this level. And if the meeting role requirements, it will show you what the meeting role requirements are. So all of this is right there in Basecamp. Let's go over to Basecamp and let me show you where this is. I think I closed my, no, I didn't. Here it is. Let's go back over to Basecamp and let's go over to the overview in Basecamp. All right, so we're going to click on my dynamic leadership path. And of course, it takes a long time. And we want to go to the overview. And we wait. All right, so let me close all these up so that you can kind of see. Level 1, we now have a little listing for mastering the fundamentals. We said level 2 is about learning your style, and there's a little listing for learning your style. Level 3 is about increasing knowledge, and there's a little listing for increasing knowledge. You get the idea. Let's go back to this one for level 1 and click it and see what's underneath it. When you click that level 1 listing, it will show you, first of all, a description of what Toastmasters means by mastering the fundamentals. Actually, it's probably going to default to the checklist. Nope, it went where I wanted it to go. All right. It will show you a little paragraph that explains what we mean by mastering the fundamentals. It gives the member these valuable documents that help them complete the meeting roles and understand how the meeting roles are an important part of their Toastmasters journey and their learning journey, so they can access these and use them. If they continue scrolling, it shows them their speech projects. And as you know, in level 1, there are 4 projects. It lists them. And if they continue scrolling, it also lists the meeting role requirements that they have to meet. And then it even explains how all of these work together to help the member master the fundamentals. And you go from there. I'll take your question in just a minute, Sharon. If you hit the next button, you will see that the member also has a checklist where as they do all these things, they can check it off. When they finish being the table topics master, they can check it off. When they have done the icebreaker project, they check it off. When they've done this writing a speech with purpose project. So yes, they can check these off as they do them. So they can keep track of what they've done. Once everything is checked off, they can scroll down. There are a couple of little places where there's some reflection questions where they can reflect on how the journey went when they were mastering the fundamentals. And then finally, they need to mark it complete. So when they have done all of those assignments, the assignments in all the different categories, the speech projects, the meeting roles, and the educational presentations, if there are any, once they've done everything, they will have to be sure to come over here and click complete my requirements. If they don't do that, they can't get their level 1. You can't give them level 1 credit because they won't have everything checked off. When they mark complete their level, complete their requirements, what it does for them is puts a little green check mark here. And again, they can't request a level completion until all of these check marks are done. So you may have to coach people. If you're a vice president of education, you may have to coach people in the beginning about being sure that they do all those little assignments, check them off so that they can get this green check mark so that when everything is done, they can be awarded a level completion. I want to go back to Sharon, who had her hand up. Rosalind, I'll come back to you in a minute. Sharon, you still have a question? Okay, I'm going to say maybe not. Rosalind, you want to go ahead with your question?
All right. In some of the spaces that you were showing in the level one, there were areas where there would be a question or a statement and you needed to type up some response to go in there. Does are those requirements to that the system looks for something to be in there to consider as part of your completion? Does it count?
I don't think so. I think it's optional. And I think it does say that. Let's go back over and look at it. I need to find it really quickly. But I think it is optional. It's meant to focus your thinking. It's sort of like those questions, just as you go through the lesson, there also are thought questions and activities. Actually, you can skip them all, unfortunately. But yes, and so I think this operates the same way. When you're in that mastering the fundamentals, answer the following questions to review what you've learned, but I don't think anything has to be in here because I'm going to say that's certainly not the case with inside of the learning content. There are boxes and activities too, and if you fail to fill them out, you can still mark the project as complete. So we would hope you do it, but it doesn't. I don't think it's required. Okay, Gary, question?
Yes, thank you, Saundra.
Uh-huh.
A quick question now. Does do all of those check boxes that the member completes in order to submit a request for approval, are those now easily accessible in Basecamp to the Basecamp manager to be instead of having to go around and hunt down the member's portfolio and check what they did when, et cetera, et cetera? Does that transfer right into the Basecamp manager approval process where you get a notification that someone has submitted a request for level approval, level completion approval?
Well, they'll still get the Basecamp manager will still get a notification when the member completes this last one, level one completion, when they request the completion.
Right. So you can assume that they must have checked everything off.
That's right, because they're not going to be able to check the completion if they don't have a row of green check marks here. But can the Basecamp manager go over and see what they've checked off in terms of speeches they've done and things like that? It doesn't appear that they can. That's really just the members' record so that they can kind of stay on track and see what they've done and keep track of what they've done and what they haven't done.
So the reason I brought this up is that earlier at the outset, you reminded us that the Basecamp manager needs to verify that the member has completed all the requirements, including these new requirements for meeting role fulfillment. And now at the upper levels, the training presentations. But it seems like that's automated in the sense that the responsibility is still on the member to do that in order to be able to submit. But I think you've also intimated that in response to another question, hey, they can just go through and say, yeah, I did that, I did that, I did that. And that's why I asked, well, how is it up to the Basecamp manager to validate those claims?
I believe that the Basecamp managers in the VPE in particular have to develop a record-keeping system.
Okay.
We won't be talking about that tonight because that's
No.
kind of the next part of this. But I'm glad you asked this question because it gives me the opportunity to invite people on this call to the class that I will teach on December 11th, where we will talk about my recommendations for record keeping as well. All right.
Okay.
Because there are some best practices and some things that work and some things that don't work. So I also am prepared to take this to the next step. All right, how are we going to keep track of this? Because this is a lot. Free Toast hosts can do some of it, but not all of it. So you're going to have to develop some ways to kind of, and everyone doesn't have access to Free Toast hosts. Maybe that's the most important part. So we've got to come up with some strategies, and I will talk about some of those strategies. But it is up to the Vice President of Education and Basecamp manager because, as you point out, anything that the member checks off over there is self-reported, and your role is to verify that it's really been done before approving the level. And so I would say you shouldn't just go by what the members have checked off. you should have some records that corroborate what they say they've done, and then you approve their level.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, it becomes incumbent on the VPE with the other base camp managers, because this is now a big enough record keeping task. I think all of the base camp managers need to be involved so that you keep these good records so that you can approve levels appropriately.
Which is basically all of the officers now.
Yeah, it's all the officers. So maybe they saw this coming. All right, good. Martha.
Thank you so much. This is such a great session of being comprehensive about our approach to our Toastmasters journey. One of the things I would always have to caution everyone about, even though you don't have to answer those questions, it's always good to answer them because it helps you to see exactly what that whole project was all about. I never leave one of those without answering the question. Now I think they've shortened some of the questions where it used to be about 7 of them. I didn't mind doing those because that's why I had answers all the time for what was going on, but I wouldn't try to skate past those because you really get the essence of why that project is important and what you did, because they're going to ask you questions that's tied to exactly what you've done. That was my only thought.
No, you are 100% correct about that. And I said, so yes, in answer to Rosalind's question, I said, oh, they don't have to do it, but the answer is they absolutely should. In other words, Toastmasters isn't looking for something. It is for the members' personal development, and they should do it for that reason. Yes, so thank you for that. All right, we are ready to wrap up. All right, so let's kind of wrap up. This is where we left it here. We saw that checklist, and we saw where they have to make sure that they mark off when they've met all the requirements. All right, so let's review what we've talked about here. We've looked at the 3 kinds of requirements. There are speech projects. Someone give me an example of a speech project. Name some of them for me. You can just shout them out. Everyone should know some.
Icebreaker.
Icebreaker.
Okay, yeah, okay, give me another one. Because everyone knows icebreaker.
Understanding your leadership style.
Yes, okay,
Body
perfect.
language.
But all right, good, good, good. All right.
Educational.
Well, no, these are not the educational ones. These are the speech
okay.
projects. And that's what
Evaluation and feedback.
Evaluation and feedback is a speech project.
Brian.
Okay. All right, good. Then there are meeting roles. I won't ask you to name those. I know you know what the meeting roles are. And then finally, there are also our educational presentations. Give me an example of one of them. I flashed them by you really quickly. Can you name one of them?
Going beyond the club.
Going beyond the club was one of them.
Evaluate to motivate.
Evaluate to motivate is one of them. Good. All right. And again, these are different in that Toastmasters gives you the content. It gives you an outline of what you are to cover. You cover it in your own language, in your own way, using the skills you've developed as a speaker and a leader. But Toastmasters wants club members to learn certain kinds of things, and they are asking the senior members of the club to help teach it. So that's what those are. 3 kinds of requirements now. So we said we would cover all of this today, and we did. We're going to come in under time. Dr. Sonia is going to be, what? They're finished already? All right. So any final questions? Any final questions at all? I encourage you to sign up. I put in the chat, my class is coming up. Dushan Mosley also has a class coming up in December. Let me put that in the chat too. I also, if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do that. Let me put that one last question, class registration information in the chat, Dr. Sonia, and then I'm going to turn it back over to you. So let me stop sharing. Let me grab this other one, because Dushan Mosley is going to teach a class on the updated role of the base camp manager, where he is specifically going to talk about, yes, what base camp managers now need to do in terms of record keeping and working together. And that's his focus, is how they're all got to work together to make this happen, because this is a big record keeping job. So the 2 classes, I'm teaching one and he's teaching one before the holidays, before we get to Christmas. So please feel free to register, click the link, register, and join our class today. So thank you. It has been my pleasure sharing this information with you today. It has been my pleasure being your educational speaker. And at this time, I'm going to turn the lectern back over to your Division C director. Please help me welcome back Dr. Sonia Falk.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Saundra. That was excellent. You get better each time you give it. Give us a little bit more. Just thank you so much for coming in and doing this for me. I really, really appreciate it. And I know everybody just loved it. Thank you so much again.